Hey, greetings, everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West here, the Executive Director of the American Constitutional Rights Union and the ACRU Action Fund. Well, it didn't take long. We are just 2 weeks into the 47th presidential administration of Donald J. Trump. And guess what the left is already talking about? Yep, we got to get rid of him. We got to impeach him. He needs to step down. 2 weeks because he is basically doing what he said he would do. And instead of Democrats looking at themselves and saying, why did we suffer such a massive loss? Why, in the first time for over 2 decades, did we see a Republican win the popular vote and the Electoral College vote by massive means? Why are we not looking at ourselves? Why do we continue to go down the same rabbit hole? So I just want to talk about something that is supposedly happening today on this Wednesday, the 5th of February in the year of our Lord 2025, called the 5051 protest. Yep, all of a sudden, 2 weeks into it, we have these protests that are supposed to be all across the United States of America in the state capital of every state. That's calling for some very interesting things that I'll go over. But first, I want to remind you of the face of criminal illegal immigrants in the United States of America.
I'm not going back to Haiti.
One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
Trump, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
So in 2 weeks, the left is in an apoplectic meltdown, calling for the impeachment of Donald Trump, organizing protests all across state capitals because of what? Well, I went and looked at this 5051 protest. They're supposed to be happening today. We'll see at the end of the day how that they pan out. And of course, we know that probably someone like a George Soros is funding this. Funny how the left never wants to talk about George Soros, but all of a sudden Elon Musk has become public enemy number one, like John Dillinger. But here are some of the things that the 5051 protests are emphasizing. First of all, they want to fight fascism because everyone, Donald Trump's a fascist. He's a dictator. I mean, it's funny how all of those folks said that, but then you saw the MSNBC host, Morning Joe, and his wife go down to Mar-a-Lago and sit down and have a conversation. I guess he wasn't that bad of a fascist or a dictator. See, fascism is when you try to shut down the opposing thoughts, perspectives, and insights of someone else. The only people that I've seen to take these fascist actions are the people on the left here in the United States of America by way of leveraging big tech against the freedom of speech, freedom of expression of American citizens. And we know that the previous Biden-Harris administration did employ big tech to do so by the own admission of one person by the name of Mark Zuckerberg. So fighting fascism, again, empty. Freedom of speech, which goes along with the fighting fascism. The only people that restricted freedom of speech of Americans was the progressive socialist left. It happened on the side of the Biden-Harris administration. Remember the Ministry of Disinformation or Misinformation that they wanted to create as part of the Department of Homeland Security? You don't hear Donald Trump talking about having a ministry as such. No. You're free to go out there and say whatever you want about Donald Trump, like the criminal illegal immigrant just said, with very interesting words, expletives included, reference President Trump. That's why he's on his way back to Haiti. The third point that they want to bring out is racial equality. Here we go again. All of a sudden, we're going down to this equality of outcomes, this equity thing. And also, one of the other things they want is wealth equality, which is a socialist tenet. The American people rejected this whole thing about DEI and racial equality and wealth equality. They rejected that at the ballot box on November the 5th of 2024. But 2 weeks into the Trump administration, we see these leftists going back out, not saying, how should we change our messaging? Nope. Quadrupling down on the same idiotic stances. And then another point that they want to bring out in these 5051 protests is election integrity. See, I don't think they mean the exact same thing as others as far as election integrity. As a matter of fact, here in the state of Texas, we just had the state of Texas Secretary of State office just come down and decertify the ES and SE poll book systems because of the massive failures that we saw, especially right here in Dallas County. But that's not what election integrity means to the progressive socialist left. I think they're upset because somehow between 2020 and 2024, there was a precipitous drop off in the vote turnout for the Democrat candidate. I think we're talking about like 9 to 11 million. Explain that to me, Lucy. So I believe that what they're talking about with election integrity is the ability to go back and manipulate the system for their outcomes, their desired outcomes. And then there's women's rights. You know, you got racial equality, you got wealth equality. Now you want to talk about women's rights. The other thing is LGBTQ plus IA alphabet soup mafia rights. Who would have ever thought that we would have to have a president of the United States of America sign an executive order saying that there are two genders in the United States of America, or that we would not allow children to have their bodies mutilated or be forced onto hormonal therapies that will alter their bodies. You know, one of the things that people don't understand is in the United States of America, under the age of 18, you can't even get a tattoo. But yet somehow the left believes that you should be able to go out and mutilate the body of a child under the age of 18. Now, look, you become an adult, you do whatever you want, but we should be protecting children. And look at the recent decision of the Attorney General of the state of New York, Letitia James, saying that this executive order protecting children from body mutilation, that's what this is. No such thing as a gender affirming surgery. You're not doing anything to change the gender. You're not doing anything to change the DNA. What you're doing is you're affecting healthy body parts, which means that all this talk about big pharma, well, you're attaching that child for the rest of their lives to big pharma, because of all of the therapies and medications they will have to take pretty much so for the rest of their lives. But yet these are the type of things that this 50-51 protest is going out to stand for. They're not talking about the things that the American people talk about, the border security, the economy. No, it is about fighting fascism, freedom of speech, racial equality, wealth equality, election integrity, women's rights, LGBTQ plus IA rights. And then they want to talk about public health and safety. We just showed you a clip of a criminal illegal immigrant here in the United States of America. Now, again, that's a double entendre because you are a criminal if you enter into this country illegally. You have violated our laws. And on top of that, here's a person that has been committing crimes in the United States of America while they are here illegally. And I get tired of people saying no human is illegal. You're either a citizen being born here or naturalized citizen, or a legal resident, or you're here illegally. I mean, if I break the law, I've done something illegal. And I'm a human and I committed an illegal act. Well, coming across our sovereign border illegally means that you have committed an illegal act. And so therefore you are an illegal immigrant. But I guess that's something that the left can't understand. So public health and safety, yeah, talk to Laken Riley about that. Talk to Jocelyn Nungare about that. Talk to the mother of 5 in Maryland who was killed by a criminal illegal immigrant. Talk to the victims of the Tren de Aragua gang members. But yet the 50-51 protest is out today talking about public health and safety. Gun violence. Well, I think I have a Second Amendment right. And that Second Amendment right enables me to be able to provide safety and security for myself. When you talk about gun violence, you're talking about criminals. You're not talking about legal law-abiding citizens. And think about this. You want to talk about gun violence. How is it that criminal illegal immigrants, let's all go back to Aurora, Colorado, and we remember that that footage that was captured on video of Tren de Aragua members armed in the United States of America. How does that happen? See, that's gun violence. That's the real gun violence. But that comes from the policies of the previous administration. But yet you would want to disarm legal law-abiding citizens. That's what these 50-51 protesters are talking about. They're not talking about going after the criminals. They're talking about going after you and I, the people that have a Second Amendment right, because we are citizens here in the United States of America. Climate change is the other one that they want to talk about. They still want to talk about the weather. The weather is not the big issue. The weather is not the reason why we had millions of people come across our borders illegally, although Kamala Harris said that it had to do with the weather. No, it doesn't. But interestingly enough, here are the demands of the 5051 protests. Remember, we're only 2 weeks into the Trump 47 presidential administration, only 2 weeks. Here are the demands that these people want. First and foremost, Donald J. Trump, the president of the United States of America, step down or be removed by impeachment or other means. Already 2 weeks in, and they're talking about impeachment. Why? Because he is following up on the things that he said he would do when he was running for the presidency. And for whatever reason, the other side just can't imagine someone doing what they said they would do after they were given an overwhelming mandate by way of electoral victory here in the United States of America in a presidential election. So in other words, the left is throwing a temper tantrum. Mass investigations into politicians appointed by President Trump. So I guess the whole thing about advise and consent, which is in the Constitution, the Senate confirmation hearings that we've seen, they don't like that. You know, that thing that's part of our constitutional republic, that thing that's part of our representative democracy, the senators holding hearings, asking questions. Well, some people didn't ask questions. Most of the Democrats just grandstanded. But anyhow, asking questions, getting thoughts, perspectives, and insights from these respective nominees, and then voting. And oh, by the way, the Senate is controlled by the Republicans. So they have the majority, 53 to 47, because the American people did not want Democrats to have control of the Senate. That's how it works in a representative democracy. But I guess that's not good enough for the people on the progressive socialist leftist side and the 5051 protesters. So they want mass investigations just 2 weeks into this. They haven't done anything. As a matter of fact, if you check it out, January, the best recruiting month for our U.S. military in years. But I guess we need to have mass investigations into the Secretary of Defense. Investigate Elon Musk and his role within the United States government. The President of the United States of America is also the Chief Executive Officer of the federal government. So if he wants to have a more effective and more efficient federal government, he can hire someone, he can appoint someone. Barack Obama had czars all over the place. I remember his regulation czar by the name of Cass Sunstein. Did anyone on the left throw a fit about him and some of the regulations that he was pushing forward against our economy and small business owners? Nope, sure didn't. But now all of a sudden, because Elon Musk is tearing down the temple of government, little g, because that's the god of the left, little g, he is getting their angst. Once upon a time, they loved Elon Musk because he was all about electric vehicles and these things. Now all of a sudden, Elon Musk, he had a road to Damascus moment. They don't like him anymore. The last thing, overturn or rescind executive orders that infringe on citizen and human rights. This is one of their demands. What about the 90 executive orders in the very first months of the Biden-Harris administration that completely deconstructed the sovereignty of the United States of America in violation of the Constitution, Article 4, Section 4? I did not hear anyone from the progressive socialist left speaking out about that. The hypocrisy, if it weren't so serious, is laughable. I guess these people think that we're just supposed to go along to get along. The more that they rant and rave, the more that they shout, the more delusional and deranged they appear, and the more the American people, I believe, will push them into political exile. And what's the last demand? The actual last demand, I'm sorry, is to reinstate DEI. This was a policy of the previous administration. So guess what? That policy can be reversed. Just the same as executive orders are not law, they can be reversed. Perhaps maybe these people that are going out to participate today in this 5051 protest, they should get a better understanding of what civics is. You look at this clip of people going out and protesting against the deportations of criminal illegal immigrants. What do you notice? A lot of flags of other countries. Right there, you see flags of Mexico. One of the things that was in the memo that was sent out by the organizers, I guess, of this 50-51 protest today, they said we need to carry more American flags because right now it's not a good optic. And furthermore, they would like to see the police going against people that are carrying the American flag. So they really don't care about the American flag. They're on the side of an Islamic terrorist organization. Not too long ago, they were out burning American flags and raising up the flag of Hamas here in the United States of America. So let's wise up to what this 50-51 protest is today. It's just another apoplectic meltdown. It's another rant rave. It's another rage. It's another faux, unrighteous indignation that comes from the progressive socialist left because they lost. This is a constitutional republic, and we do have laws. And I think it's very important that they go back and read Article 1, Article 2, Article 3 of the Constitution. They need to understand what it means to live in a representative democracy. And first and foremost, they need to understand that an election where a duly elected president is now sitting in the Oval Office, well, he can do what is right by the American people. And because their temple is being torn down, because they're no longer in charge, they're no longer enabled to take this country down the path of fundamental transformation. We don't care how much they go out and protest. We will continue to do what is necessary by the Constitution of the United States of America to protect this great nation. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Live Free TV. God bless.